What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. Welcome to the show. Few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it later, smack down on like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into that stuff. We can get into that talk. We can talk about that thing. You know what I'm saying? Whatever's on your mind, soul, heart, and spirit, we can get into it. If for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button there. Send your question or comments in, and I'll read them live and on air. All right? All right. Also, you guys know, last thing, I am on Cameo. I just got on that Cameo. And Cameo is where you can request a shout out or request about a minute to a minute and a half longer. So say, for example, you going through some stuff and you know Joel is the love doctor, right? And you going through some stuff and you don't quite know what to do. And JLP too busy, you know what I mean? Like, he got stuff going on and the counseling is filled up. You try to get in there for counseling, but you can't because it's all filled up because everybody is trying to get counseling. And you just need just a word, a little word. You can go to cameo.com/itsjoelfridaytv, send your request, and I'll give you my little take, my little advice. Listen, why not? The option is there. I ain't saying you got to do it, but the option is there if you want to do it, all right? Amazing stuff. Today's Monday. What does that mean? It's a couple things today. All right, today's Monday, and Monday is what? First things first, because this is my show. Today is Grace and Mercy Monday, okay? Every Monday is Grace and Mercy Monday, where we talk all things spiritual. All things spiritual. In the name of Jesus. And also today is Memorial Day, right? Memorial Day. Shout out to the fallen soldiers who lost their lives in battle, in combat. And people today really are out and about, and they are not thinking about, I mean, some probably thinking about the soldiers. You know what I mean? Maybe some family members that lost their lives. So shout out to them. But for the most part, I think people are just enjoying the 3-day weekend. But shout out to the soldiers and the fallen soldiers as well. And then we wish the families well as well. We got some stuff to cover today. A few different things to get into. Man, I got the full course again. I got the full course meal for you. We got some callers on the line here. I got a full course meal for you. I got a message for you. We got the appetizer. We got the main course, and we got dessert ready to go for you today. Just letting you know. So we can get into it. And I can take your calls, and I'll have a little bit more time to get to your calls today as well, considering the fact that Anchor Baby is not coming in directly after me today. So I have a little bit more time to spend on calls if you guys decide you are to call in. All right? Cool stuff. That's cool. First things first. I'm going to start the message off. And then we're going to get into some stuff. Because I got some stuff. Let me see how I want to start this. Let me see how I want to start this. So this is from X, okay? Benny Johnson on X. WNBA celebrates the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd. So first today, just a heads up, I want to talk about thinking for yourself. I think that it's just important that I explain this about thinking for yourself. I think that is not even considered enough. And I think that people don't know, maybe not know that they are not thinking for themselves. And I want to point that out today, and I want to reveal that. Or just explain what that looks like. Explain what that looks like so that way people can be aware or even hear for the first time. Because it's out of control all over the world. Not just with certain groups. I'm talking about every group. I'm talking about cultures around the world. I'm talking about it's a celebration when it's almost like, it's almost magical when you come across a person who thinks for themselves today. Because it's so rare to see, because most people do not. And I want to break that down. First off, Benny Johnson on X, WNBA celebrates the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd's death. Here's the first clip. We're going to get to that. Here we go.
Thank you guys for taking a minute to honor the life of George Floyd. George was a father, a brother, and a son. And his life, like every life, held meaning. His death exposed the holes that are still in our justice and criminal institutions today. And his 5-year anniversary reminds us that we must continue the fight against criminal, racial, and social injustices. We cannot stay silent. Every life deserves respect and dignity. Thank you.
Okay. So people are just celebrating the fact 5 years ago, George Floyd was, according to the reports and according to the stories, according to the news, murdered by Derek Chauvin, the knee on the neck. We heard about it, big controversy at the time. They're celebrating his 5th year. It was also found in court that his death was due to, well, anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But regardless of the fact, that happened 5 years ago. One thing I want to say about that really quick is, and I'm going to make it short and sweet because we got a message to get to, but nobody cares. Not one person cares about that George Floyd situation. Zero. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about it because nobody cared when he was a drug addict. Nobody cared when he was on the streets. Nobody cared. And people think that the black community has everybody convinced as if they care, and I guess to make other people care, but nobody cares. It was all for money, power, fame, and attention. Nobody cares because there's 1 trillion George Floyds out on the street right now that nobody's thinking about, nobody's concerned about. In my opinion, I think the best way to go about life is not to have attachment to people in general. If they want to choose their suffering, they should. You shouldn't have to try to save someone that doesn't want to be saved. And if they don't want to be helped, then they can go out and struggle in the streets and be on drugs and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I think that is better for people is when you let them go off and almost not care in a sense and try to change them. Let them go deal with life and learn on their own. So I'm for people not caring in a sense, right? But what's happening is that people are trying to pretend like they care, right? And it's just not true. They do not care about what happened to George Floyd. It was an agenda. It was, and I'm talking about whether or not Chauvin was a wrong or right for putting the knee on the neck. It looked excessive. We went through that. We already know that, all that kind of stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Outside of that, the whole story, the whole narrative about the whole thing was used for personal gain. It was evil. It was evil what they did. It was evil what they're still continuing to do in pushing the same narrative as if George Floyd was an innocent victim who was just caught up in the wrong. It's just lies. And it's so bad that people are just flat out believing it. Flat out believing it and not even caring. And I know why. I know why people are just flat out believing it, even though it's common sense, even though it's flat in your face, not true, even though it's clear why people just believe it and go along with it. And they'll just go along with it. I know exactly why. I'm going to tell you. Is that not everybody, but culture leads you astray. Okay? And I want you to hear me out. Because right now, maybe that triggers some people. Like, what you mean culture leads you astray? Hear me out. Culture leads you astray. Because I realize, and I'll use this situation as an example, the George Floyd thing. The black community always, for as long as I've been alive, and long before me as well, they think as a group, as a culture, right? The culture itself has rules that they live by, most of the black community. Not all black people, but a huge chunk of black people think as a culture. They think as a group. And culture itself has its own set of rules and ways of life. And when people think as a group and they think as a culture, they lose their individuality. So if one person's angry, they're all angry. If one person's happy, they're all happy. They think together. But I realized, and this is what I truly realized, and it was making so much sense to me, that it's not only blacks that think as a group. Churches think as a group. Families think as a group. Friends think as a group. Relationships think as a group. Everybody is thinking, and not everybody, of course. There's individuals out there in the world, right? But many people think as a group or as their culture. Asian culture, black culture, white culture, Indian culture, whatever. Your family, everybody thinks as a group. And that is the issue. That is the issue there, is that everybody is not thinking for themselves. And I was thinking about how that's so weird. That's so weird. And I did it too. 100%. I'm not exempt from this conversation. But there was a point that I got to where I realized what I was doing. And then I stopped. And I realized that even with churches, people think as a group. And I realized that people love to, because it's easy, people love to blindly follow other people. They just blindly just believe what they say no matter what. Because in their mind, they have this person, right? Whether it be this pastor, whether it be their culture, their community, on a pedestal, right? Even the Bible, even God, they put this thing on a pedestal, and they just like a bird, like a parrot, just copy the things that this person says or this Bible says or whatever. And they just copy it. Don't even know if it's true or not. And then they blindly just follow. They blindly just follow people. And the reason why is because they just trust their word because they love them so much or something. They have them on a pedestal. But I don't think that people truly realize what they're doing when they do that, because I didn't realize it until I came out of it. Is what you're actually doing is the person that you put on the pedestal, you're actually setting a trap for them. So you're not helping them, right? Because what happens is you love them, you love them, you love them, you love them. They're so smart, they're so wise, they're so this, they're so that. And you have this expectation on them now, right? But as soon as they do something that steps away from what you want them to be, you turn on them, right? And you judge them and you smear them, right? So you set the trap for them. You built them up, but then you also destroyed them. And I realize it's because people just think they blindly trust other people. And it's more common than you even think. And it's because people are following this culture, right? These set of, because it's easier for people to just be told what to do, right? Of course, Christians say, I want to think for myself. I should think for myself. I'm going to think for myself, right? Of course, they all say that, and that's what sounds right. And everybody's like, yeah, you are thinking for, but oftentimes people don't do that because it's easier. It's easier just to trust somebody else's word and fly on the wings of that, not knowing where you're going though. And you look crazy as you're doing it. And when you talk, it's phony, right? And people don't believe you. And then also you judge everybody. And nobody wants to be around you. And then you think that it's because your circle is small. And it's because I used to say all these things. But I was a problem. You got to start thinking for yourself. That's the thing. Blind trust leads you astray. And I was even thinking about this South African thing. Like, nobody cares about this South African thing, y'all. Nobody cares about that. At the end of the day, nobody is caring really about that. The only people that really care about that is maybe the ones that is happening to or whatever. And then the people in the government are going to figure it out and blah, blah, blah. And maybe the family members here and there, blah, blah, blah. But nobody on the ground really cares about that stuff to be sitting up here and having like this major arguments about it. Now I have some calls I want to get onto it, and I don't mind getting into it and we can have a little discussion about it. I don't even mind debating about it. But I don't know why people would be thinking that they really care to the degree that they'll just be getting angry over it and want to like slander you for it. And want to turn on you for it. It's kind of crazy. But I realize just people don't think for themselves. And I have the solution that I believe to get rid of all this stuff. Just to break away, get off the grid, go off the grid. Right? Get off the grid, get your life right, and then be able to navigate a little better. Just see a little bit clearer. But first, before I do that, I maybe want to get to some calls. Hold on. Let me see here. But one thing I want to say really quick about that, and then I'll get to some calls, is watch yourself. Check yourself. Remember, culture and all this stuff, the Bible and all that stuff can become very culty. First four letters in culture, what's that? Cult. It can become very culty. And how that happens is that you have this stuck in your mind that you identify with this group, you identify with these things, and it becomes culty. And it ain't nobody else's fault but the people who think like that, talk like that, don't think for themselves, sound like everybody else, sound the same, using the same sayings, using the same words, same lingo. It's just ugly. And we just got to check ourselves. But let me go to, because I got some people that want to get in on this specific subject, so I don't want to stray too far away from it yet. So let's get into that. Let me go to Josh out of Georgia. Josh, welcome to the show. You're on the air. And then I'm going to get to the solution to get rid of all this mess. What's up, Josh?
What's up, man?
How's it going? All is well.
All right. What you're talking about is exactly what I wanted to talk about, man, with this South African thing.
Right on. And, perfect timing.
Right. And it's like, I don't understand. I don't even think you really had a disagreement, because everybody's going crazy in the comments about that.
Oh, yeah.
Joel, he's a communist now, and what they call you Don Lemon now. I think they're joking. It's like they're just getting a thrill out of it. But what was the point of disagreement? I don't even see it as a disagreement. But I want to break that down.
Josh, let me tell you. You mean like what was the point of their disagreement with me?
Yeah, because I don't see it. Yeah. I heard it clear, and I listened to it twice, and I don't even see that as a disagreement. It was more like a miscommunication.
Yeah, I can't. I'm still trying to figure out what was the thing that they can't let go of. I still don't try, because I made myself pretty clear. I also made the point that like I was agreeing with the notion of letting them in. I explained my point a few times, a bunch of different times, but yet people still feel that. I honestly, if you have an idea, then help me understand, because I don't.
Okay, I understand it, bro.
Okay.
So what you were saying is that we're in America. We don't really know what's going on around the country, and to us, it looks like, these South African refugees are the same as the Mexican refugees, and it's kind of subjective because we don't know the situation, and we're kind of just giving them the benefit of the doubt because they're white.
Right.
Was that basically your position? And then,
I think part of it, that was part of it. Part of it was the fact that we shouldn't just do it just because they're white, but more so the fact that, let's just make sure that we're doing across the board, we're being just as genuine. Right.
And it sounds that sounds like that's the communist argument.
Okay.
Is what they say is that all people are equal, and that if we're doing it to the Mexicans, then we should also do it to the South Africans. And I thought we were America first. And there's a lot of infighting in between quote unquote conservatives, who say America first. Some of them hate Israel, and then some people see, hey, Israel is our brothers, and we should support them. So it's I think it's bottom line is this: like you were just saying, no one cares about South Africa. I don't. I see we should treat. Elon said we should treat America as a sports team and recruit the best of the best to make our society better, so that our way of our quality of life is better.
Yeah.
And that's all I really care about. I want if I do get married and have kids, I want my kids to have a high quality of life. That's what everybody wants. We all agree on that. And I don't see it. It's awkward to say this, but I say if the country is 90% white, that's our best shot at making the best quality of life for our kids.
Help me understand that logic, though, because I don't quite understand that logic, and I never really have understood it.
Right.
I don't understand how, because somebody is white, that makes them more likely to have a better society.
Right.
Paint that picture for me.
All right, it's the exact same thing as somebody is black. They're usually good at basketball. They're usually better at sports than they're better at dancing than the white guy. That's how I see it. And it's like I mean, remember you a long time ago you told the story how you were better at baseball when you were a kid. You were just out there having fun.
Yeah.
And you just had more talent, and then the other kids they weren't as good at it. And it's like.
Well, what you're saying, oh, go ahead, finish your point. My bad, I cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's just like different cultures. The white culture is for whatever reason, their talent is just systems management, building the best societies and cultures. I don't know.
But why do people equate that to morality? What that building something and like doing this stuff, that doesn't equate to morality. It doesn't mean that you're raising decent kids, but that oftentimes gets painted as what whites do. Now, I'm not saying that maybe in general, you may see in America, whites seemingly looking like they have it together more than other races. I'm not denying that at all. That it can be pretty apparent in some neighborhoods. But I'm talking about the moral argument. The moral argument to me is never measured up to color. So I don't understand. But the narrative, like what you're saying, a lot of people say is that if you want it to be right, then you got to make it white. But I just don't. To me, that's just like it doesn't add up to me.
Yeah, it's like I think we've been brainwashed, man. I think we've been brainwashed a little bit because I used to see that the way too, and like I thought all men were equal. That's a direct. But I just see now that I'm older, I see the country way differently. That I've been in the black community. I know how that way of thinking and culture is, and how they just act differently.
But if all people overcome, wouldn't they all return to God equally?
I can't confirm or deny that, and I don't really see I just see. Is it? I don't. They haven't. I guess it's just looking at history, looking at society now. It's like. It's obvious. I want my kids to live in a 90% white community for their well-being because it's safe, it's low crime, it's a high trust society. That's why if
that's
it wasn't,
mistake though. That's a mistake.
You think that's a mistake?
Yeah, that's a mistake to think that way because what you're doing is what you're saying is that, and I understand that point because you're saying, well, because white people tend to just mind their business. But now then you see a group of white people and then you just can go at them and think they're going to be your friend. No, they can backstab you too, low key.
They can.
They can do all kinds of stuff. They can judge you. They can be too nice to a fault. They can not help. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of different things that go into it, but the blanket statements of just like, well, whites just need to be trusted is wild claim to me.
Right. And it's also wild to say the statement that, hey, America is a white country, and us non-whites, we should acknowledge that.
But why? But who said America is a white country?
It feels awkward to say that, doesn't it? Huh? What?
Who said America is a white country? Why do you keep saying stuff like that?
Because it's majority white, and it was founded by white people.
But how do you know? Who told you that? Who told you that?
Huh?
Who told you that?
No one's ever disputed that.
Right,
it's not about who told me that. It's about that. That's just what it is. Like Nigeria is a black country.
Right, but
Nigeria is a black country. It's founded by black people. It's majority black people there.
Okay,
so that makes it a black country. So that's objective.
Okay,
and it do sound. I know what you mean. It do sound like I'm a Jesse Thumper and that I'm just in the whole. I get that. I do get that part. Right. And. It was deep what you were talking about because, man, I really do trust blindly what Hake says, I kind of get all my news from Hake because I've never caught him in a lie, I've never caught him in a lie. I kind of know his demeanor, and you're right. You should think for yourself. But man, when I check the news, I go on X. I want to see what Elon and Trump are talking about, and then I go down to see what Hake and Jesse are talking about.
I understand
and that's
that.
just who I
understand
that's
that,
who I trust. Yeah.
But I understand that completely, and I know what you're saying because you think you say Hake means well, Jesse means so
Right.
you're looking at that. But you're also not doing James any favors by thinking that
is
everything
judging
is
him.
said.
That's judging him as good.
Right, because
that's
as soon
evil.
as he does something that you disagree with, then it's going to be like, oh, I thought Hake was just this some guy.
Right. That's true.
You know what I mean?
True.
And what does that do? You know what I mean? That puts him in a certain way. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm just saying us recognizing that this is not how we should approach people or look at people in general, and not identify with it in that way, because that's not reality.
See, but that's the thing. It is reality. It's like okay, I used to sell cars, right, at a Toyota dealership a long time ago, and it was mixed. But all the salesmen we knew, when a white guy walks in, it's a 90% chance that he has good credit and he's here to buy a car. So everybody is fighting, try to get to him first. Or if a white guy and a black guy walk in at the same time, the probability is that the black guy has bad credit, the white guy has good credit, and he's more likely to buy. Yeah. And that's just reality. It sounds racist. It sounds evil.
Well, no, that's reality. It's reality, but and those things like that, prejudices, I'm not against, because if you see a black guy come up with you with a hood on at night, your prejudice is just going to be a hold up. From experience, this is so. I don't think prejudices are incorrect. I'm more so saying but I'm more so now. I'm talking about trying to paint a moral picture over the color being superior. It's just that whites may happen at this time of life in history to where they happen to be on the morals, maybe even more justified side of doing things more decently and stuff like that. But times changed throughout the history to where, and there's also different areas of the world where it may be different. So it's the culture, the actual culture, the actual thing we should be returning to is God. And in God, everybody is exactly the same. And that's not on some churchy type of thing, but in all reality, all who return to God within have God within, and nobody's favorited over another, those who truly return. So I just think of life in terms of what at the root of it, and at the root of it, nobody is different. Everybody's the same color, same everything.
Yeah, I mean, God. But would you say that God gave different races different talents?
Yeah, but those are irrelevant. Talents, what does that mean? Like blacks entertain us, so are they less of anything because they don't build a house? No, it's we love entertainment as well. So it's it doesn't paint a value, a moral picture over things that people's talents don't paint a moral picture.
Yeah, it does, but it's in a practical way. If I'm picking teams for basketball and I can pick you or Hake, I want you on my team because I want to win.
I'm telling Hake,
because you look more athletic than Hake. Huh? I know he's going to. Right, but it's just the truth. It's not racist. It's not. It's just that you look more athletic. You look like you. I want to win. So that's how I see America. I want white people on my team because I want the best society. I want to win.
Right,
I don't want all these
but you don't want to win.
Running around.
But you're. That's two different things. Yeah, you're saying two different things. Yeah, because right now you're saying right. Now when you say with the sports, you're like, oh, I want them on my same team. Well, you just want to win when it's the sports, right? You just want it to win. You're not worried about whether this is the righteous way to go. No, but if you now make it broader about a country, you don't want people on their side just so you can win. You don't want to just win.
That's what I want.
You want to win, But
I just want a good society. I want
but it's not a
high trust
game.
society.
You want people who are just. You want people who are right, who have
and
love.
That's what makes that's how white people are. You don't think that's how white people are?
I don't. But not in itself. That's just not how white people are. White people. What you're talking about, which is how white people are, is that they have things together, right? But you don't know the hearts. You don't know the hearts.
Yeah. And it's a case by case basis. But generally, when I'm in the white side of town, it's like I don't have to worry about getting robbed. It's safe. I don't got to have my head on swivel. When I'm around black people, it's a different story. I'm scanning the room constantly, thinking someone might jack me. Yeah, so I see this whole thing as practical. So I want more people in my country who will make the country a place where it's high trust, low crime, and more functional. That's all I see it as.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I don't think, but you're right. It's not saying you'll meet black people who are, better at that than white people. Hate probably could dance better than me. I don't know. Maybe he could beat me in basketball. So it ain't nothing like that. I don't even think it's an argument. I think it's like a miscommunication, man.
Yeah. No, that's the point. And I want to say this one last thing about that. My main point, and it has always been, and I said it on the calls even a couple of times, is that when it comes to the South Africans coming here, is that, and this is my point, y'all, and this is just my clear point only, and if you argue anywhere around this, it's on you. Well, it's been on you, but is that my point is if two people, and I'll use in a reference to if two people go to need help, right? And their lives are horrible. They're depressed, suicidal, and both these two people need help. Would God pick one of those people over the next, right? Or would he pick both? And my point is that if both people are genuinely looking to overcome, God would choose both. He would not favor one over the other one, because people are saying, oh, it's not fair. Life is not fair. Like, God is not fair. If both people are genuinely looking for help, and I'll talk about genuinely looking for help, God's not going to turn either of them away. He's going to help both of them. So that's my point when it came to the South Africans, is that if Trump wants to help them because he genuinely sees they need help, then he's going to, we want to make sure that he's genuinely helping others that may need help. And it's not based off because they're white or whatever.
Yeah, see, that's a whole different argument. That's not even that's not even the point. That's something different.
Well, I think people, chat still is hung up. Well, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The chat, there's some people there, they just want to, you can't really trust. There's some people that they just want to start some stuff, but they'll never call you and talk to your face about it, man to man. But, but it is funny. They saying you selling Kill the Boar merch now. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, some of the stuff I'll be laughing at. But I do have to keep the calls though moving, Josh. We had but that was good, man. I appreciate you calling in and we talking about it. Thanks, man.
Okay. All right, man. Appreciate it, man.
All right, have a good one. So interesting stuff. I'm gonna get back to the calls right now. I'm gonna tell you guys real quick the solution real quick, how to stop thinking like a group. For one, in order to overcome all things, the mind must be renewed. God has to renew the mind, right? And God can only do that in one of two ways. Two, in both these ways have to happen. Is one, we have to seek him, right? And the second is we have to be honest about what he reveals to us. 9 times out of 10, people do not want to be honest. It's hard to be honest. It's very hard to be honest because people think the mind has people believing that if they're honest, they're going to have to suffer some type of consequence about what they find with themselves, right? What they find out about themselves is going to be some consequence, right? I'm going to see that I'm a bad person. I'm going to see that I'm no good. I'm going to see that God is not going to forgive me for this thing. I'm going to see that it was so shameful that I did. So they'll hide it. They'll push it down. They'll run from it. They'll reject it. They'll deny it. All for the sake of not wanting to feel a certain way, right? But the only way to overcome that, the only way to move on from that is to be honest with self with it, right? Be honest. And that's what repentance is. Repentance is admitting to God that you're no good. But also those little deep little skeletons and secrets and darkness within, you're acknowledging and telling God that I need help here. Help me. I'm wrong. I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. And in that is when God can set you free. But I noticed that there's a strong hold on honesty that keeps people stuck in thinking like a group. They cannot be honest. They cannot take accountability. And that's why the Black community is the way that it is. And there's other communities too that think this way as well, because community and culture is just this way. Is they cannot accept the truth. And because of that is why you're not an individual. Also, you gotta truly seek. And people don't, and what I mean by that is that always going to somebody for an answer, always going to the Bible for an answer, always running to just to feel better is not gonna solve your problems. You gotta seek God within. You gotta actually talk to him. Talk to him. You have actual concerns, go to him. Go to God. You can audibly speak. God, I need help. I don't understand why that's happening in my life. Like, you told me to do this and I'm doing this, but you're still not doing it. Like, help me understand what's going on. He will speak back. And I'm not saying you're going to hear this loud audible voice, but like, I got you, boy. That type of thing. But he will speak back to you. Though, however he gets the message to you, he will, especially if you're overcoming and recognizing. He'll speak back to you, but you don't speak to him. So he can't speak to you. You go to everybody else. You go to the middleman, but not the source. And he said, come to me. I have the teacher within that you have as well, but you won't look within and go to him. So you think like the group. Think for yourself by actually talking to God, seeking God. And some people will say, well, he doesn't answer. I talk to him, he doesn't answer. Well, maybe you don't want the answer. That's another thing. Maybe you're not ready to hear the answer. Maybe you're not ready to hear the truth. Maybe you're not ready to accept the truth. Maybe you're a little afraid of the truth, how the truth might affect you. Maybe you're not ready to be honest with yourself completely because it hurts a little bit. You don't want the truth to get at your feelings. Well, then when you're ready, you'll be ready to let that go. But that's why most people think like a group. It's because, and why they don't think for themselves is because they don't seek for themselves. They take the easy route, which is advice or knowledge that they hear from the podcasts or from the church or the da-da-da, but not going within. And I know this for a fact because it's happening in my life, is that then you start to recognize the difference between God's voice and the devil's voice. It starts to get a little clearer, more and more and more, right? It just gets clear. And then you find yourself less depression, less stress, less other thing. Doesn't mean that you won't have issues ever. Doesn't mean that you still won't have to deal with life. But you'll be a little better at it. Don't follow no man. Every single man on this earth, if you blind, or woman, if you blind follow them, they will lead you astray because they're just human beings. Every single one, every single last drop. The Pope's Pope. The very last, the highest of the high, the highest white man. I'm gonna speak you guys' language. The highest white man on the top of the land. The whitest man. If you follow him, he will lead you astray. Because there ain't nothing wrong with getting advice. There ain't nothing wrong with somebody pointing the way. There ain't nothing wrong with somebody maybe giving you a little assistance. But if you're following him just because he said it, he will lead you astray. Why? Because he is just a human being, just like you. He will lead you astray. Absolutely. It will happen. Because he is not your source. She is not your source. God is your source. So get to him. And I'm so and I know I'm wrong for paying too much attention to chat because I don't even know these people. But the behavior, the character of some of these folks, let me chill. Because it's just chat. I just be shocked. But it's just people. It just be like, I just be like, what? And not all. But I just be like, what the crazy. They're your best friend one day, hate you next. So, shout out to the Devils. No, I'm playing, but serious. Anyway, let me go to Aaron at Maryland. Aaron, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up, Joel? How are you?
All is well, Aaron. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well myself.
Right on, man.
Earlier you were talking about thanks. I like that you guys say right on, by the way. That's a Cali thing, isn't it?
It might be.
I like right on. I don't say it just because I'm not from there, so it's like weird to be on the East Coast saying right on. Yeah. But maybe I'll start saying it because I like it.
Now I'm checking myself. I was about to say it. I'm like, hold on, let me.
Yeah, no, say it, man. You know what I mean? It's a situation.
I got you.
I was gonna say earlier you were talking about. You said nobody cares.
Yeah.
And then I think you were saying that nobody cares. They pretend to care. And you're like, I don't get it. Why are people that you don't even care about this thing? Why are you getting so riled up?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So this is going to be great. This is actually my self-observation, and maybe it'll apply to everybody else. But I think that was like 2 weeks ago now, on a Friday, right? Or a week ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
When you had the conversation.
I think that was about a week ago. It might have been about a week, I'm thinking. Last Friday.
Yeah. So ever since that morning show, man, I don't know about everybody else, but I was getting a complete thrill out of it. From everything.
Yeah.
From the reaction of everybody, the comments. I was even in Discord, just, wow. I was in it.
Yeah.
I was watching myself while I'm in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the whole time it was just a thrill, and I enjoyed the thrill.
Yeah. It wasn't
At the
about
time.
you're saying it wasn't about the South Africaners or none of that stuff.
No.
Yeah.
No, bro, I don't care about any of that.
You're right.
I don't care about any of that. You know what I mean? And it was great that you said that, because the thing that snapped me out of it was when I was like, what about my life? What am I doing in my life?
Yeah.
Like, what about getting myself together? And it just like snapped me out of it. I was like, yo, I don't care about none of this.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of this.
Man.
At all.
100%, man.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Nobody really cares about that stuff. It's just for the thrill. You get caught up, and I understand sometimes you get caught up, but nobody really cares. And they'll go to the and it's just human nature. All people, right, will go to the extent to they'll die on the hill for no reason.
Yeah, you don't have to. You could just snap out of it,
Right.
like, oh, I don't really care. It's cool. It's all good. And then you know what it is it's amazing because and this is recently, by the way. I don't know what happened to me, but I feel like a lot of love now, real love. And I'm like, man, if everyone could snap out of it, you could realize that it wasn't ever that deep. Nobody cares either, and it's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. 100%, Aaron. Man. And that's a perfect point. And that's a perfect point because that's what I was speaking on, and I'm glad that you shared that, because that's what I was speaking on, is that when you come out of that stuff, you realize that you never even cared. Nobody cares about none of that stuff. Everybody is just, none of it, because it doesn't even affect anybody's lives, really. You know what I mean? And that's such a good point that you make, man. 100%.
There was a, if I could share a story with you, there was an interaction I had with somebody, and we were both emotional, and we had an argument. And then the next day, there's so many thoughts like, oh, what if I have to face this? All this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I realized, again, the same thing. Since I've realized it from that first moment, now with this new thing, I was like, oh, I don't really care.
Yeah.
So it's on them if they want to continue it. Like,
exactly.
And if I have to apologize, I'm down to apologize. It's no big deal.
Man.
And that person came to me. They came to me, right? And they were like about to apologize. And I was like, yo, it's all good. It's nothing. We don't even got to bring it up anymore.
There's no but.
And they were like, I love you, man. And I was like, I love you too. You know what I mean? Like, it's all good. What were we doing? It doesn't even matter.
That's such a good point, though, man, too, because it's like, and I had a little realization last week too, that like a little moment that I had to where I was realizing too, and that's why I said it's across the board, is that you can even get caught up in judging people judging you. You know what I mean? And it's like, then you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, and then you get caught up in that. But I realize that, like you just said, that for one, it's not a big deal. But for two, people are just confused, lost, and they don't know what they're blind and can't see, or maybe it's just not even really that big of a deal. And when we hold it against people, or we use it against people, then that's when it's affecting us, and it's silly. It's really silly at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you know what happens is now I realize the thoughts try to get me caught up again, because it makes me try to it tries to convince me to feel for those people. Like, man, I wish they would drop it.
Yeah.
Man, I wish but I can't even do that, because then I pick something up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I have to literally have to drop it. And then if they drop it, I'm like so happy. I'm like, nice. That's dope. Now we can play like a kid.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Man, 100%, man.
I wanted to go into another thing while I was on hold you brought up.
Yeah.
I wanted to question you on this. You said if two people, exactly the same, they both cry out to God, he wouldn't reject either one.
Right.
He would help them, right?
Yes.
This goes to the South African thing and everything, but not really. Just the deeper meaning of it.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, I agree with that, and I can see that. But also, I think it's important to remember that he helps them differently, which is the unfair part. You know what I mean?
Explain.
Well, for some people, they are crying out, or not crying out. Oh, yeah. Some people are crying out, and then they find a way out of hell or something, right? Like a practical thing that helps them in that situation. But some people are crying out, and God will leave them in their hell.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I
interesting.
mean? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if we could relate it in a practical way to the South African thing, maybe those people needed to get out of there, and maybe some other people need to stay in there. You know what I mean?
Maybe
So
that could.
I might be dumb on that.
No.
I don't
Maybe
know.
you could be making a point there. And the point
Yeah.
in the deeper point that I'm on board fully with, because of course anybody can do separate things, and you're right about that. But the main point that I definitely agree on is the fact that regardless that however whatever form help looks like, it's not
Yeah.
being rejected. And that's the point that I was trying to make with using the God example, is that however God is going to help that person, he's going to help them,
Yeah.
but he's not going to reject them. He's going to help them. So, that's the main point that I was making about it. And whatever that looks like, it could be different.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say one thing from that Friday. I meant to bring up to you. There was one thing you made a mistake on, and maybe I'm wrong, but you said
Fair
that
enough.
refugees are the same as illegal immigrants, which they practically, man, they're not. It's not the same. You can't say that.
I don't remember that
But
I said. I don't remember that I said that, but
yeah,
what
I think you were caught up, but I don't know. Maybe not.
yeah, I don't remember, but well, I mean, I know the refugees typically are the ones that are fleeing, and the ones that are let in, correct?
Yeah, they're seeking asylum, I believe.
Yeah, and
They're seeking refuge.
the legal aliens are oftentimes 99% of the time they're in here illegally, right? They
Right.
somehow I definitely agree. I might have
Illegal.
just
It's illegal.
misspoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
You may have not caught it. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But
Well,
it looked like that.
fair enough, man. I appreciate it. I still appreciate you bringing it to the show.
I'm being fair, you see?
That's right.
I'm being fair.
That's
I'm being
right.
totally fair.
Right on, man. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Aaron. I appreciate the call, man. Call me again. Good stuff.
Of course, man. Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. You as well. Nice. I got this one more last thing. I'm out of time, really, but American Anchor Caribbean coming in, and I got to get to this last story because I have to. How do I not? How do I not? This is from X and CNN. And I hate to do this to some of you fans of what's that show? He's got a couple shows out that are pretty popular. The first one is Breaking Bad. Come get your boy Bryan Cranston, y'all. Bryan Cranston or Cranstons. Come get your boy. What's his name in the show? Walter. Come get your boy Walter. He acting up. Bryan Cranston defends the black community in reference to the MAGA slogan. Here we go.
Make America Great Again. My comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African-American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African-American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them.
Get your boy. Get your boy. I mean, he's just trying to be nice. He's just trying to be fair. But I just want to say this last thing, and then I got to get the Superchats real quick as well, is I want to just say to maybe whites, blacks, whoever is listening, is that slavery has never been anybody's issue, meaning slavery or anything that has happened to people, apartheid, Holocaust, has never been what has held people back. I'm not here to deny that any of those things happened. That's not my place to do, and I won't do it. And I don't have enough information to do it. But for the benefit of the doubt, from what I've been taught, for what I've heard, is that these things that could have seemed to have happened can have been really bad, right? Maybe at some points worse than others. And maybe let's just say that it was just really, really, really atrocious acts, just horrible, flat out stuff. And I'm not saying that shouldn't be acknowledged at all. I'm not saying don't acknowledge it. What I'm saying is that don't use it as an excuse, because a lot of the black people and other people in different communities that are complaining today about that stuff didn't even go through it. They didn't even go through it. And they're using it as an excuse to explain why they can't get ahead in life or whatever the case is. And I want to say this because I watched this little thing about the apartheid, because I had to look into this the little apartheid thing, a little South African thing a little bit. Just a little bit, looked into it a little bit. And there was a lady who was talking about what she's experienced in the apartheid, and she said that she's like, there's things that I experienced and the way they treated us, I'll never forget. And it had a long lasting effect, and it ruined our lives forever. And that mindset that she just had right there is the reason for it, not the apartheid. Because in her heart, she has resentment. In her heart, she has anger. In her heart, she has pain, which may be justifiable for what she's been through. Maybe been through some crazy stuff. But it's still not a justification for why you can't get ahead in life. But that's the justification that a lot of these communities use, is they blame it on the past. That's not your problem. You can overcome just like anybody else. The white man, anybody else can overcome. Right? You can overcome. And you can get ahead in life. And you can maybe even do better than those who say that you're not worth nothing or whatever. Slavery, apartheid, Holocaust, and none of that stuff is your issue. Your issue is anger, hatred in your heart. Because what that's doing is blocking you from being free. Right? It's blinding you to the real life, real reality. Right? True freedom. That's what's blocking you. And you have to be willing to let that go. And if you're not, it's not anyone's fault. It's not anyone's fault, no matter what. And I said one thing to somebody, and they were like, you can't say that. That's like mean. Or it's like insensitive. And I said that if a person got R-worded, that they can go on with their life unfazed by the action that happened. Like it never happened. That's possible. And I guess it came off insensitive, but the point is that it is possible, because the trauma that comes from it is the constant replay, the constant like guilt or shame or embarrassment. And I'm not saying I don't understand. Listen, I'm not saying you're not entitled to feel those things, but you don't get to use them for your benefit, is my point. You don't get to use them as an excuse, because you're not helping anybody else but yourself. or hurting anybody else but yourself. So, Joel, you are leaving stuff out. Man, I used to go to look at a little chat here, and I used to look at them for like suggestions, like I can't even do that no more. Cause now every time I look at my little chat, and maybe this is a good thing, because now I get to like not spend my focus time. What's wrong with me that I'm like concerned with chat for one, right? Let me first. But for two, like now I look down at it and it's all just like, Joel, he a mess. Well, no, Lizo's cool. And there's like a couple others there. Marcus cool. I still got friends in there, I think. I still got friends in chat. But I look down and I'm like, and everybody just slander. But that's okay. I still love y'all. I still love y'all. From a distance, though. And you still might get blocked. You know what I'm saying? What did Aaron say? Aaron said if you help people, sometimes you got to help them by suffering. I'm with Aaron on that one. Keep playing. Keep playing. Sometimes God's love is tough love. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me check super chats and then I'm out of here. Let me see. Harmony Grits. God isn't fair. He is just. I believe Trump brought these Christian Afrikaners in for a reason. Maybe if you cannot see it now, let God cook. Aries 1 with the hot dog. Thank you, Aries 1. Right on. Put some ketchup on it. John Zimmer, not all but most lost in groupthink. Legion, brainwash, autopilot mode. Yep, silly stuff. 100%, John Zimmer. 100%. William Joseph, how does this relate to flat Earth? I don't know. But there's some culty flat Earth people too. They be on that culty type of thinking. God, don't they be like banding together too, flat earthers? We got to stick together or something. Right? It's all the same stuff. It's like Christians and atheists. It's the same. If you ever think about it, everything is really like you versus me. Everything. Christian, atheists, white, black, round earth versus flat earth. Like competition is what gets people going, period. It's all coming from the same place. It's all coming from the same stuff. Nobody really care about none of it. William Joseph says, what do you think God cooks? Probably bacon. What the? I bet they have bacon in heaven, especially because there's no Muslims. What? What the? I will say, gumbo got to be in heaven though. I ain't gonna lie. They got gumbo in heaven and meatloaf. Thank you, William Joseph. Amazing stuff. Man, there's just so many. Well, not like so many, but like I got some from Eric Harlan, and you guys know Eric Harlan got some stuff for y'all. But I'm gonna save these for Wednesday, if the Lord is willing, because he got some convos on women and prenups, and he's about to go in on y'all. So y'all mad at me, be mad at Eric. Why y'all mad at me? He mad at Eric. He coming for y'all, not me. All right, y'all. I gotta end. Until next time, I'll see you another time. Enjoy your Memorial Day, your day off. Enjoy whatever you got going on. And I'll see you back here tomorrow for some more stuff. We'll get into some more myths. Matter of fact, I don't want to talk about the Afrikaners no more, though. Don't call me no more about the Africans. I don't want to hear it no more. I don't want no more calls on it. I said what I said is done. Okay? Leave it alone. Drop it. Let it go. I give up. I wave the white flag. You win. I'm wrong. All right, y'all. Bye.